The other day, I was asked something I hadn't been asked in about 30 years. Why Larry Bird? Why was that my hero growing up? And see, when you're a kid, the answer is almost that much easier. He's the best. He's better than Michael Jordan. Ha! Which made me a party of one by saying that. But, it's see, it was when you're a kid and you're tall and and awkward like I was, and not a huge athlete, not any of that kind of stuff. Someone like Larry Bird dominating athletes when when he really couldn't jump, couldn't run, and he dominated everybody. It's fun to watch. But got asked that the other day, so I can give a little more of an explanation now that I'm an adult, and I've got a little bit of a platform right here. Why Larry Bird? Because he's not Rucker Park. He was never the guy that was dribbling 50 times between his legs and broken ankles. But yet I've seen him break ankles by moving just an inch. Everybody falling to the ground and there he is right there, wide open. I've seen him do it more than once. I saw him absolutely break Scottie Pippen's ankles going about 2 inches to the left, excuse me. Saw that, and Scottie Pippen was one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time, and I saw him do that when his back was absolutely gone. So he's not Rucker Park, but he did all that. He's not Madison Avenue. The guy would rather go home to Indiana, get into his crappy fishing boat and go fishing. Drink whatever cold beer was there. The only time he ever wanted to go to New York was to beat the Knicks. But yet he's been in 7 movies and over 30 commercials. Think about that for a second. He's not Don Draper. He's a very gawky looking, not a very, he looks like every Midwestern aunt. And that's the truth. You look on Twitter and they'll always say he looks like Beaker or he looked like everybody's Midwestern aunt. And so he's not the good looking guy, but yet you call on him every time he goes on a David Letterman, every time he goes on a talk show, every time their announcement, he gets the mic. He gets it. Even though it just looks like he has to just get home at night. Even though it looks like he's uncomfortable in that suit. He's still there. See, for someone like me, who didn't have a whole lot of that type of training in life, you enjoy that. Michael Jordan's easy. Michael Jordan is easy to cheer for. That's the easiest part. And I've never done an easy thing in my life. He's easy. He was the good-looking guy who had the perfect suits all fitted to him. He and LeBron, everything, basketball looks easy to them. The athleticism looks easy to them. To Bird, he was winning and he was dominating better athletes, but it didn't look that smooth. And there's something to that. There's something to that for someone like me who was pretty awkward growing up. And you look to that. And those are most of the athletes I liked anyway. I liked Tom Waddle as a kid. As about 13 years old, Tom Waddle from the Chicago Bears. 187 pounds, skinny, wide receiver. The only thing he has, phenomenal hands. Everything else, he got killed. He wasn't fast. And yet he blew away with Deion Sanders 3 different times. In one darn game. I've always looked to something like that. I've never looked to the easy. Mind you, I did. There were athletes I loved. I loved Andre Dawson. You don't think he wasn't a natural? I caught Andre Dawson toward the end at the Cubs when his knees were gone, but it's obvious he was an athlete. He was the only guy in the era that had arms. Everybody's got arms now. The utility fielders have arms now. But so it wasn't like that I didn't like. Of course I was a Hulk Hogan fan, and you can't say he wasn't an athlete for 300 some odd pounds. So yeah, I loved athletes too. But I also looked at that. I looked at those players and I looked at those athletes that didn't look like they had it easy or didn't make it look easy. I've kind of always looked there because I think I can learn more from them. And then now as they've gotten older, and as I've gotten older, the one thing I do is I watch when the athletes got older. I watched more of Larry Bird on YouTube, in his older years, from 88 to 92, when his back was absolutely gone. Because it is such a lesson in watching dominance when no one can move anymore. When he's moving 4 inches a game and scoring 45 points. And it was true. He wasn't doing a thing anymore, moving around, unless he had to. And yet he's dominating you. And that's a lesson. That's a lesson to be working smarter, not harder. And I watch every older athlete, even in their moment, even if they're not dominating as much as they used to, I'm watching them still dominate in their moments when they don't have the same 20-year-old body that they used to. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch that because I'm in a new step in my life where I'm really looking to keep myself in shape and keep my brain going. And it's always fun to see, and it's always a treat to see how they do it. I really study those. I study those. I study the older actors. I study the philosophy. I study everything right now. Is because nothing's gonna. The older you get, it's never gonna be easy in your life. You do have to work harder, but you also need to work smarter. And so those were my answers on Larry Bird. I just said 3 things, but that's the biggest thing whatsoever. He did wipe the floor a ton. He did get on the floor a ton. He worked way harder than he needed to. And he retired earlier, and he should have, but he probably stayed longer because he played smarter. And the injuries forced that. But it's been a tremendous lesson for me. Just do it smarter. Do everything smarter and think a little more.